Time, not space. No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Hello and welcome to I Don't Know What You're Talking About with Erin and Garrett, a podcast between a married couple where we talk about things that aren't necessarily in the intersection of our lives, things that the other person doesn't necessarily know about. Erin, how are you? Is that too formal?
I have an important one that's not in our... Well, I have an important point that I thought of about 3 minutes ago. Speaking of what's maybe not in our Venn diagrams. I feel like I love vanilla so much, the flavor. I would say it's one of my favorite flavors.
It's always been one of my big favorite flavors of ice cream.
But I feel like there's this weird, I love it so much, and when I taste it, it's like if you picture a speedometer of satisfaction or something, there's
Where 0 is no satisfaction, and
wait, no, this isn't the right way to describe it. I feel like there's
is it the speed at which you're receiving satisfaction?
No. I feel like there's a gap with how full the vanilla fills the radar in my brain of what I want the vanilla to fill.
Hello and welcome to I Don't Know What You're Talking About.
No, I'm serious. It's it's not full. It doesn't fully get there. And I think other flavors do.
Wait, so explain it one more time. And
Okay.
explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
My brain has this spot for this amazing vanilla flavor that it wants, and I taste it. That's our dog. I taste it, and it fills up 80% of that spot.
So you're saying it doesn't fill the expectation of what vanilla flavor is to you?
Yeah, or it leaves something missing when you taste the vanilla. You're oh, but the end of it's missing or something. I want the complete vanilla flavor, and it's
I feel like you have a certain type of pagnosia or something when it comes to visualizing flavors. I've heard you talk about flavors that taste more round and flavors that taste sharp.
Oh yeah.
Is this connected to that?
What's that thing that people have where they Wednesday is blue or all those things?
It's pagnosia is not the right. That has to do with phases, but
yeah, it's some
similar.
Sort of,
yeah, it's a disorder for sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess I have that. Taste this vanilla ice cream and tell me that the space and the experience of vanilla is fully embodied. It's there's this spot for it, and the flavor of that gets mostly there, and then you want it to keep being vanilla.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Hello and welcome to I Don't Know What You're Talking About. The topic today is vanilla. And I have no idea what she's talking about.
Anyways, that's why I didn't put away this ice cream before we started, because 3 minutes before we started, I started thinking about vanilla. But I love it so much, so it's not that I am criticizing vanilla.
I feel like that ice cream in particular is maybe because, at least for my brain, it's because it's a plant-based ice cream. And while I enjoy them, if I try to think of it as a dairy-based ice cream, there's an extra little part that doesn't quite connect. And I feel like you need to not do that when it comes to plant-based products versus quote-unquote normal products.
Right, you just have to experience it for what it is.
Right.
You're not comparing, is this as good as dairy ice cream? Or this is coconut milk, maple syrup, and vanilla extract and vanilla beans. And for coconut milk, maple syrup, vanilla bean, it's this is a delicious frozen coconut milk, maple syrup, vanilla bean dessert.
It's delicious. It's way better than the coconut milk ice cream that our daughter and I made the other day.
Yeah, but yours was yours was good for homemade.
considering it's a pretty simple homemade process without an ice cream machine, it's like it's not bad for a non-dairy, non-cane sugar dessert treat. Well, thank you for joining me once again at the dining room table. Oh, it's a kitchen table. I mean, it's both. We're in the kitchen and the dining room.
Thanks for joining us at the kitchen table. The other thing is that I know our office looks insane right now.
I didn't say anything.
I saw the feeling. But it's one of those, like, it's, you know how when you organize something, you have to, like, undo it all in order to, like, do it? Like, you have to, like...
Completely.
Yeah.
It's like our junk drawer where, anytime to put it back together, you gotta, like, pull it all out and it looks insane.
Yeah. You have this giant pile of... Yeah. That's what's going on in the office. I have a Goodwill box. I have a garbage bag. I have a stuff that's going to, like, my clothing house exchanges that I do with friends. I have all of the piles are forming.
I mean, I had no doubt that progress was being made in there.
Process and progress.
Yeah.
One of the best feelings for me. Organizing a room.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you and I have talked about how we connect with that Berenstein Bears book where they have the messy room. I think it's called The Messy Room. And they organize everything in shoe boxes and put it in the closet and label each one of them. And that's scratched a weird itch in our brains when we were kids.
Oh, yeah. It might be like one of the books that I remember most as a kid speaking to me, and like how satisfied I felt when they got their room all clean and had all the labeled shoe boxes and they're both like sitting in their chairs reading in the room.
Right.
And the pegboard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A pegboard with toys hanging up or whatever.
And an outline on the pegboard of the toy that's supposed to go there.
So our brains this week have been really occupied with a show that I think we're like a month late on getting on the train, but Presumed Innocent with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Also, Peter Sarsgaard is in that. Is that his name? Peter Sarsgaard? I always get Sarsgaard and Skarsgards. I feel like there's a lot of Skarsgards now.
You got it right.
Peter Sarsgaard?
Yeah.
He's not a Skarsgard.
But that show, talk about anxiety producing. I feel like I only wanted to like watch it during the day. It's like a weekend daytime show or something.
Yeah, they have a good formula of the like ending on a cliffhanger, making you want to watch more, or thinking that the next episode is going to give you a lot more morsels of information. Plus, it's about like a crime courtroom.
It's pretty intense though. Like, I don't know if it's like a right before bed type of show, but it was good. I think I'd recommend it to someone, mostly because I like all the courtroom stuff.
I feel like in the 90s, there was so much courtroom stuff happening, and I feel like we've had a real lack of that in recent years with TV and cinema. And I'd like to get back to it. So if you could call your friends in Hollywood, I would be appreciative.
On the Poog podcast, they just did like a, if you call yourself a, Poog fan kind of thing. You should be going to the theater, going to see a movie at least like twice a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they call their fans a certain thing? Like
hags?
What?
Hags.
Hags.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why?
I don't know. When I get back to whatever episode that.
Oh, because you're working backwards, right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. But they're hags. But yeah, they said if you call yourself a hag, like you should be going to the cinema at least twice a month, at least once a month, something like that. And just like talking about the culture of like going to the movie theaters and it being like a dying world. It's sad.
I would love to get to the movie theater more. It obviously has its challenges with children. But
we have a theater so close to us, though. We could get a babysitter once a month and go see a movie.
We do have a Regal close to us. Also, one of my first jobs was at a Regal Cinemas, and it was so much fun. Especially because, like, there's so much turnover at that job that I was the senior most employee after like a year of working there, and I really felt like it gave me free reign to do whatever I wanted there.
So you made like mile-long
Oh yeah,
straws.
Well, it's funny because I worked at this theater where in Bend, Oregon, where the new theater had just opened up across town that was way fancier than our theater. So we were super dead for like 6 months. Like, no joke, we get like 15 people a night sort of thing. So all of us that working there just had so much free time on our hands. And so we definitely got bored and creative. But I used to watch so many movies working there.
Yeah, I went to that theater a lot as a 13-year-old.
I remember one of my first memories of you is getting you and your boyfriend in for free to like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon or something like that. Was that the movie?
Yes.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I actually remember that really well.
Oh, yeah? Did I seem like a cool guy?
I think so. I mean, I just have this like flash memory of the part of the theater we were in and us talking to you, and I didn't know you very well, or I'd only met you once or twice or something. Yeah.
Could that be our earliest memory? Because we really don't remember meeting.
That might be our meeting.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's me pulling up that little strap so you guys can slip into the theater.
See, we should be going to movies because it's part of our...
Ain't nobody talking to you, Siri.
Why does Siri think that? I went to the dentist today, and which I love. I know it's not a popular...
Yeah, Miss Zero Cavities.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was fun. And we're like, we're going to need to schedule 5 more visits for you because how old are you? Oh, you're only that old. Well, your teeth look much older.
I mean, I just love getting my teeth cleaned. Then you feel like your teeth are so
That's fun.
Yeah. But everything went great, except she was like, the dental hygienist was like, have you eaten a chip or something sharp? I was like, ever? Like, what? Today? And she was like, in the last couple days? I was like, yeah, I think I had chips yesterday. She's like, you just have some trauma to your palate.
Whoa.
What?
To the roof of your mouth? You had some cuts?
I guess so.
Whoa.
And I did eat chips yesterday, but I didn't know I was like, eating them in some kind of odd way to cause trauma.
That makes me think of that Presumed Innocent show, that if you were to show up dead, that they would be like, it showed that she had some trauma to the inside of her palate, and it would become like a big part of the case.
Yeah.
I don't
Maybe
know.
she just
Maybe
ate
she
chips.
Chips.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I don't hope you end up.
Oh, thanks. So sweet. Yeah, but it was weird. I was like, oh, I don't know what I was doing.
Like, I like to chew gravel.
Yeah. Is that weird? I mean, I would assume that if you eat chips normally and that happens, that there would be trauma they would see all the time. People eat chips all the time. So I must have done something weird with the chip, and just not remembered that it like poked me in the top of the mouth.
I do feel like I go through phases with chip trauma where like it won't happen for forever, and then I'll have like 3 or 4 in the same month where like I bite down and it happens to go like right into the gum, between the gum and the tooth, or straight into the top of the mouth. Like,
it's horrible when that happens.
Yeah, it's the worst. Fast.
Yeah, they were also like, are you clenching your jaw because you have like crack lines on your back teeth from clenching your jaw? I'm like, I'm clenching my jaw then. Like, it's not, they're like trying to trick me into
like,
lying about it.
Never.
And then I was like, my jaw hurts all the time. Does that mean I clench my jaw? She was like, yeah. And then she told me that one of the strategies to help with the cracks was to reduce the clenching. I'm like, yeah, what? Like, I'm not aware that I'm doing this.
If you could just not clench, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I need to meditate more, probably, or something. Or I guess wear a mouth guard, but I don't think I grind, or I don't know.
Yeah, did she say it was like during your sleep or anything?
They said to awake or asleep. It's not grinding. It's just clenching.
I think I have a similar thing.
Yeah.
I also have had like a lot of, well, not a lot. I had a lot of teeth issues early on in life, and I learned that I need to be like doing extra to take care of my teeth. So, I do like fluoride mouthwash, and I floss twice a day, and I brush twice a day, and I do this, that, and the other. And then I had this new dentist that I went to because my insurance changed, and he was all like tatted up and like came in. I don't know why that's important, but like he like started looking at my teeth. He didn't ask me any questions about myself, and he started asking me like looking at my teeth, and then he was like, "You should really be doing like a fluoride mouthwash." And I was like, "I am." Like, and then he was like doing more, and he was like, "You should really be doing this too." And I was like, "I also do that." Like, I kind of got like mad at him for not even asking me what's going on with my mouth. And he was like, "Oh, sorry. It just looks like there's a lot of issues here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, dude." I get the impression that my place, they're like very overwhelmed and just trying to get through people as fast as possible because they have so many piled up.
Yeah.
And there's the one dentist there and like 7 dental assistants that are like, he's just rotating between the 7 chairs constantly. So he was very much in a like turn and burn.
Yeah.
He didn't last long though. The guy that replaced him, way nicer. He actually was so nice that he like, I have this spot on my tongue in the middle where there's like, he it's not a spot. It's just like where there's like a different texture. And he was like, "Oh yeah, that can be this, that." And I was like, "No, I don't do those things." And, cause he was worried about what was causing it. And then, he was like, "Okay." So then I finished my appointment, and like a day later he called me and was like, "I think it's cause of your asthma medication. I had an epiphany last night." And I was like, "You called me because you were thinking about my tongue?"
That's really cute.
It is, yeah. He seems more thorough than Mr. Tattoos. Well, you had a birthday recently, and that was very fun. Having people over to watch the 1994 smash hit Speed.
It's so good.
It is a good movie. I feel like it is underrated. I don't know. I swear.
Our dog wants to be part of the podcast.
Also, our daughter wants to be part of the podcast. She's like keeps asking when she's going to be a guest.
Cutest guest ever.
She will. She'll blow you guys away. I agree that Speed, I feel like, is underrated in a lot of ways. And it's not just because I started listening to a 50-episode podcast that's all about Speed, interviewing all the people that helped make it and like directed, like literally anybody they could get a hold of that worked on the film.
I love that. I feel like there is a lot to say about it.
Well, they had an interesting point on the podcast with that it's really not talked about in the 90s action movies. There's like all this shine, or just action movies from 80s and 90s in general, like Terminator 2, like Die Hard, things like that. And like, I feel like Speed doesn't come up in those conversations. And I feel like it maybe should. It's pretty solid.
When did Speed come out versus Die Hard?
Die Hard, I want to say, is like 89 or something like that. And Speed is 1994. Terminator 2 is maybe like 91, 92. This is off top, so I haven't.
I'm just making it up.
But you want to know the fun fact I heard about Speed?
Yeah.
While it was originally written by this dude, the working title was Minimum Speed.
Yeah, Speed's better.
Yeah, and then like it went through some like, companies, and they were like, no. Some executive was like, that's a dumb name.
Minimum Speed.
It's about a bus that can't slow down. It's called Minimum Speed.
There's these 2 scenes in it that are so funny, and watching it for my birthday just reinforced how funny they are to me or us. Maybe
I find them hilarious.
Yeah, where there's like halfway, I mean, probably literally halfway through the movie when Sandra Bullock is driving the bus and there's the bomb, and it's like all of this has like so much has happened, and she's like So why is this happening? Like I can't even do the tone. So why is this all happening? Like she's kind of like flirting with him a little bit and like has this kind of funny innocent tone, but it is such funny timing and the way she asks that question, like she's asking about what they're getting for lunch or something. It's hilarious.
No, it definitely seems like she's trying to flirt with him or make casual conversation, and like, yeah, it's the funniest line.
Yeah. So why is this happening?
What is the second one?
The second one is the newscaster. Well, first of all, there's lots of spoiler alerts, so if you haven't seen Speed,
pause right now and go watch.
The second one cracks me up so much because there's like that woman who tries to get off the bus, and so the dude bombs just that part of the bus somehow, which he was ready for, just bombing like the front door of the bus. Yeah, he just like can control, like, I'm gonna bomb this one tiny spot.
I love his line there too. He's like, "Do not fuck with daddy."
Yeah, so he like bombs this one part, and instantly the media knows that like this one bomb went off and killed this one woman on this bus, and
the police helicopters were there filming.
Right, but like,
not police, the news helicopters.
It's just funny how much detail they have about like this woman died, like as if they can see up close like what happened. But the way he describes it is so funny in that scene. He's like, "Oh, this is terrible." It's like,
yeah, people have to watch it. Like, yeah, it's just the tone, the way the lines are delivered is so funny.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I'm laughing especially because it reminds me of our friend who we've been joking we need to start like a podcast or a YouTube channel of telling her terrible news while she's eating delicious food because because she was eating these really amazing like donuts she hadn't had before that we took her out for when we told her that there was some like incest sexual assault charge related to Ricky Martin. Right? Was that what it was?
Yeah, it had something to do with Ricky Martin.
And it was like a family member that was accusing him.
Alleged.
Yeah.
Not going to get sued for defamation by Ricky Martin. Especially since he was in that show that we like.
Palm
Royale. He's great.
But she was like, "That's terrible." Like while she's eating.
I'm still really enjoying the donut.
Exactly. That's kind of what the news guy in Speed reminded me of.
Well, maybe we should do this if we ever get a Patreon going. We'll have that friend. We'll do that with her. But
that's a great idea.
Video thing.
Yeah. Terrible news for the first time while she's eating something she's never had before that's delicious.
Yeah,
it's a very complicated
how about
formula.
Terribly delicious.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Well, we've come here tonight to share some topics with each other that the other person doesn't know anything about, hopefully. And the way we get this started is with a game of rock, paper, scissors. We're going to go boom, boom, shoot. Best 2 out of 3. Winner gets to decide who goes first tonight. Although I've noticed, compiling the episodes, that we always have alternated. It's been like, I go first, then you go first, then... So we'll see if it continues. Naturally. I'm not going to tell you who went first last time.
Okay.
You probably know. Ooh, 2 scissors. 2 rocks. 2 scissors. Oh, my rock smashes Aaron's scissors. Oh, my paper covers Aaron's rock. All right. I am going to go first tonight.
Go for it.
All right. My topic tonight is, you definitely know about some parts of this topic. So I keep straying from the title of this podcast.
I mean, there's no rules. It's very loose.
Sure. Okay. My topic tonight is I'm going to be talking about young people's slang.
Good one.
Yeah, and I have a long storied past with this because I'm a high school teacher, so I am in the trenches where I hear a lot of this stuff, and there's been times in my life where I've been very obsessed with making sure I'm up on it, and I feel like I've entered a phase where I do not care that much, but I still am kind of up on her, and I also like researched
Wow.
a little bit.
That means you're really actually cool now.
I don't think I'm cool.
But that makes you cool.
I know, it's the cool paradox.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like a old part of me that's like, this new slang is stupid. I feel like they're trying too hard. We never used to do it like this, which I feel like is so cliche. Like our slang was simple and this new slang is ridiculous. But then I also have looked back at other things that where I'm like, oh wait, maybe our slang was not simple to old people at that time. Old, when I say old people, I'm going to say people past 35 or whatever. So I'm going to go.
Who seemed super old when we were young.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, when you're 22 or something, like 40 seems incredibly old. Like, yeah. Although a lot of that's like getting younger these days. Like, I mean, even like 60-year-olds don't seem that old
Now to us.
now.
Yeah.
But a 60-year-old in 1992 was like near death.
My grandparents were in their 40s when I was born.
Well, you have a unique situation that your family had a lot of kids early in life. Like, how old was your great grandmother when you were like 18?
That's a lot of math. I thought you were going to say 0 and make it easy.
Okay, when you were 0?
I don't know, in her late 60s maybe?
There's no way. I think she was 40.
My great grandma?
Yeah.
Great grandma.
Yes.
Wait, pause. My great grandma was not 40 when I was born.
Wait, so if it's about 20 years per. Oh, wait, you're right. She was probably like 60. All right, edit that part out, Erin.
My mom was 21 when she had me. My grandma was in her early 20s when she had my mom. And my great grandma was in her, I don't know, early mid 20s when she had my grandma. So she was in her mid 60s.
Yeah, I just feel like, there was a lot of.
It was my great grandma, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you were 20, your great grandma was mid
80s. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I got off track here. I apologize for making you say exact dates of when everyone was born in your family. So a lot of these I've observed teaching, like hearing students say them. Other ones I've just gleaned from the internet and things like that. So I'm just going to talk about certain ones and their meaning.
I think it's funny that, so I have friends, like, for example, I have a friend, coworker, who has teenage kids. And so now Garrett, now you're seen as like a resource for teenage slang, which I love. It's funny because you're in that world.
But it's also hilarious because I'm not paying that much attention. I really shouldn't be like a resource for it. Like, yeah. So let's maybe start with some of the ones that I think are crazy ridiculous. And then we'll talk about ones that make more sense. And then we're going to kind of work backwards to the ones that we used to use and things like that. So skibbity. So this one I really just tonight started to grasp it. It's just like it's almost like an adjective. It's like it accentuates certain things. I did go down a little bit of a rabbit hole that it came from a YouTube series about
the toilet guy.
Yeah, the skibbity toilet people. And like apparently it's really popular with like really young people. Yeah. So a lot of this stuff I was reading is really Gen Alpha, which is our kids are Gen Alpha. It's anybody born between like 2010 and 2024.
Yeah, I think that toilet thing is like an elementary school thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is weird. And that is another part that I love about this as a high school teacher is watching former generations of students that use certain slang start to get like, what, these kids are using weird new words, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, get used to it. Like, it happens every 5 years. Like,
yeah, the orcas do it too.
The orcas?
I was just listening to a story this week about how the orcas are just like us with their like fads and their different dialects in different communities. So, I mean, same thing. The kids have all kinds of games and slang that they're using.
Did you want to expand on the orcas? Okay, yeah, cool. Everybody knows what we're talking about when you say orca fads. So, there's skibbity, I guess, means like really is another way to say it, or like, you know, like our generation might say that something's lame, which lame has like another comparison, but to accentuate it, you could say that's fucking lame.
Yeah.
But the fucking part really doesn't, fucking doesn't really have a meaning there.
It's just like very lame.
Yeah, exactly. It's like very, skibbity can be used like that, where you can just use it to accentuate other things that you're commenting on.
Okay.
Popular new one that I heard about a couple years ago. That's the other funny part about this is that a lot of people are like, have you heard about this new slang? And I'm like, I heard that word like 6 years ago in a classroom. But Riz, I think is the one that probably makes the most sense because it's short for charisma. I also like when it gets used in non-noun ways, like a verb, like I rizzed them, or you just got to rizz them up a little bit.
Do you actually hear kids like using them like that?
Not a lot, no. But also, I'm a math teacher. Like, I don't think they're perfect. It's rare that kids are like trying out slang on me, or like they just automatically assume that I'm such a square and would not be interested in anything remotely cool or slangy or anything like that. Like one time because I like to ask my kids about, I also DJ on the side and stuff, so I asked my kids about music, and I'm like, does anybody have like any new albums they're into? And some kids talk about some things, and I remember being like, oh yeah, I like the new Schoolboy Q album that came out, and this kid was like, whoa, like that was the last thing I expected to come out of your mouth. And I was like, really? And what would you expect? And he was like Beethoven or something. Like, wait, what? You think I'm just sitting next to my fireplace, like reading a math book, listening to like classical music? Yeah, like it shows how they just have no concept of like what's actually going on.
I like that you're like a DJ who DJs Beethoven.
I'm a DJ, but it's only classical.
Fancy DJ.
Riz can also be used in so many creative ways. I've also seen it used as Rizzler, like somebody can be a Rizzler because they're very charismatic.
Oh. That one's not like they manipulate?
No. And Riz is like generally a positive thing. There's also been this weird thing that's happening with the word Ohio, which I guess came up when a lot of like weird news stories were coming out of Ohio. But Ohio basically just means strange or insane or like very off or something like that, or like not cool is another way to put it. So
not strange and off in a cool way.
No, Ohio's bad for sure.
Okay.
So they'll string them together like this. They'll say like that person's got skibbity Ohio Riz, which means that they've got really weird charisma.
That's so complicated.
Yeah, and this is the point I'm making. Like, I saw the term skibbity Ohio Riz, and I was like, that's so dumb. Like, what is this? I feel like they're just trying to make it more complicated. I feel like it's when you are young and you have like a clubhouse sort of thing, and you make up these arbitrary rules and terms just so other people aren't in on them.
Yeah,
sort of thing. But I don't know if that's the middle-aged me just being like, what?
Yeah, slang was probably just as weird when we were kids.
Right. Like, my brain keeps going back to, like, I think clueless is a good example of a lot of, at the time, slang that seemed completely ridiculous to people that weren't that age. You know, Mr. Hall, I was surfing the Crimson Wave. I had to haul ass to the ladies and like,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, and probably 40-year-olds at that point were like, nobody, why would you complicate that? Like, yeah, there's just a lot of weird ones. Oh, one that I do like is the whole cooked thing. This is actually one that I've seen a lot in actual use in school, is the cooked versus cooking. Cooked means bad. It means that you're in trouble. Like, you know, a lot of kids will be like, how did that test go? And they'll be like, bro, I'm cooked.
And kids actually use that one.
For sure. I hear it all the time.
Huh.
Very, very used, at least in our part of Oregon. But then the I'm cooking thing, I also see in the real world or at my school, where it just means that you're doing well. And I feel like the I'm cooking
I'm
thing,
cooking with gas.
cooking with gas. I first heard the cook thing when somebody said, let him cook, which meant that this person was usually a boy was trying to like hit on a girl. Like, yeah, just let him cook sort of thing. But then they turned into like cooking being a good thing. Like I have another math teacher friend that actually, like, this kid raised his hand during my test and he came over and was like, yeah, what's up? And he just was like, bro, I'm cooking right now. He just wanted to let him know that he was doing well on the test.
Just let the teacher know that he was.
Yeah, it was very cute, nerdy behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So cooked, bad. Cooking, great.
Interesting. So I feel like there's slang like from probably more than a few years ago now. It just feels like a few years ago that originally I like knew the meaning of because of you, but now is much more mainstream. Like the no cap or whatever.
That was going to be one of my examples of like previous sort of micro generation, like, terms. And that's one that's like in a lot of mainstream now.
Yeah, people know what that means, even if they don't use it. I feel like it's much more like out there. And then low key,
yeah. Yeah, these are definitely like terms from like 6 years ago that.
Yeah, I remember them kind of emerging, and then I hear people use low key in that way. I mean, in the non-normal way and in the slangy way more now. More people in our generation using it now, even though it was like a slang for a younger generation like 5 or 6 years ago.
Right. Yeah, we remember like the first time it emerged and it was like, oh, that's a weird way to use it.
Yeah.
But now it's just low key, just means like kinda.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know, cap means a lie. I remember discovering that one when like this group of students were like, you know, we heard that this other class did really bad on the test that everybody failed. And I was like, what? That's not true. Like, yeah, like some people did bad, but most people did well. And they were like, no, they totally said they did super bad. And I was like, they're lying. And then this girl was like, haha, cap. And then she was like, hey, teacher, do you know what cap means? And then she explained that it's a lie. I still don't really know where that one originated or why.
It's funny because that one feels like it like makes sense to me, the word, but
why?
I don't know.
What's
just flows easily.
Can you remember the first time that you encountered like a newer slang? Because I feel like when we were in the moment, there was a lot of slang that just was the terms. But
you mean when we were younger?
Yeah. And then at a certain point, it was like, what? The kids are doing what now?
I feel like this makes me have questions about what slang looks like in different ages in your life. Like we have slang introduced to us. It's so slow and like natural or something. You don't think of it in that way. That makes sense. And that the only reason that the slang stands out from younger generations is because you're not using it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Because slang isn't just like a thing that only young people use.
Yeah. And I know that there's like stuff that's new that works its way into our vocabulary eventually, like the low-key thing.
Yeah. I can't remember though, but I think Clueless is a good example of like the age I was when Clueless came out, that there was slang in it that I didn't fully understand or know when it came out, and then slowly understood over time.
I think one of the first times for me, I remember like a new, younger slang term that I hadn't heard yet was hanging out with our music producer friend Sam at that bar below his apartment over in Southeast. And I was eating something and like a piece spilled onto the table or something like that in this like dingy dive bar, and I totally like ate it off the table. Yeah, and he made that face that you're making right now. And he was like, I don't know about that. That seems a little sus. And I was like, was it? And he's like, yeah, it's like short for suspect. Like,
yeah, sus feels so like natural now.
exactly. That's when like I'm talking about like 2009. Like,
yeah, ages ago.
Which is funny to see slang terms that like come into fashion and die out. I actually had this experience teaching where I used the word like skrill or skrilla. And kids, I could not convince them that this was a real thing. Like,
that sounds so cheesy now.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stuff, and that's probably how a lot of these current terms are going to be. Like, you know, give it 5 years, and it's going to be like, well, that was a flash in the pan. Like Skrilla did not have staying power. No. Speaking of staying power, here's some of the more Gen Z / Gen Alpha things I came across. Mewing,
like a cat.
Yeah, is trying to look good. Or if somebody's mewing, like they're
okay,
obviously like, you know, done up, like trying to impress or something like that. Negative aura. I feel like that one's
pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's like not cool. This one was interesting. I just thought the word bop, I know, is like a cool song.
Yeah.
But that was like 2014 or something like that when I first heard that. Apparently now it's more like a negative word for like a woman. It's almost like a, you know, like a slut or
really
bitch or something like that. And I also heard it get compared to thought. THOT. Yeah, and that's another one where that's like completely ridiculous, but one that we just accepted into our lives. Like,
yeah.
And that's like through this research, it just made me realize how ridiculous all of this stuff is.
The acronyms into words ones are funny.
But like bay.
Yeah, or thought. Like if they become words that then. Yeah, bay is a good one.
Before anyone else. That one definitely, but that one sounded ridiculous when you first heard it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a Gen Z list?
I feel like this is more creeping into Gen Alpha. Or no, that might be Gen Z. We're so on the cusp right now. Such exciting times. Sigma is like a new one that's kind of, it basically means alpha, which I take issue with the Greek alphabet, but it's like a, you know, it's good, it's positive, it's somebody who is in charge and doing things and responsible. Beta obviously is weak.
Yeah.
Opposite of sigma. Not good. Phantom tax is like when you're stealing something from someone. Like it can be from food. I think phantom refers to something specific in pop culture, but I'm not sure what that is.
Gen Z has lots of mysteries.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, also just the like slang that was popular 5-6 years ago, but it's on its way out and is all stated. The like no cap, on God, this is bussin', like things like that. Which I am not sorry to see that stuff go. I feel like as a teacher, that stuff was so annoying.
I feel like 15 years ago when you started working with kids, there was a lot of slang too that it's like probably hard. I feel like it's hard for me to even remember what it was.
Oh yeah, the like 2010 slang. What even was it?
You should start keeping just like a slang log of like words from each school year. Be fun later, like 30 years from now to look at it.
Hold on, honey. I'm writing my slang journal.
My gratitude journal and my slang journal every night.
Yeah.
I found these like gratitude journals we tried to do for like a day. During the very early pandemic days.
Oh, wow.
I think because, the pandemic, like, was intense. It was very early, like summer or late spring 2020.
Yeah, that was the time.
Yeah, but it only lasted like a couple days. We tried.
Okay, I'll wrap up here. Oh, one thing I did want to say is that when I have seen more in the wild is the whole 8 thing. Like 8 is like doing good, you know? And it can be used in so many different creative ways. Like it's like ATE, like eating.
Oh, I
The
get it.
past tense of eat. Like students will talk about how they thought they ate on a test
Mm-hmm.
and they did not. Yeah.
And they did not. So
And they did not. Well, no, I hear like kids say that when they get
Oh,
a test
like,
back,
I thought I ate.
Oh, yeah, or like they'll point to that and be like, "Oh, he thought he ate."
Yeah. Is it mostly used like that? Like someone who thought they did that but didn't?
Thought that they did well because 8 means good.
Do people just use it to say something went well, or is it used to say like someone who thought something went well but it didn't?
No, it can be both. Like you could be like, "Wow, they totally ate on that," like, in a good way, or you can say like, "Oh, well, they thought they ate, but they did not."
They're so hungry.
Yeah.
Okay. Good topics.
Thanks.
Thanks for teaching me.
I would also like to reiterate that I love not caring too much about this. Like,
because you're cool.
Yeah. I know that there's an old part of me that would love to just like throw a lot of this out to get laughs in the classroom and like get students on my side, but
Gen Z will see right through that.
Yeah, might be a little cringe to
They'll know
bring a
your
word back from like
chuggy.
Yeah, chuggy. These are all millennial words, right?
Well, chuggy is about millennials,
Yeah.
but I don't even think that's a slang anymore. I think probably only millennials use that now. It probably was like a joke that Gen Z played on millennials to get millennials to like not do the things that millennials like to do because they were like worried that Gen Z would think they weren't cool. I think it's all like a long con. But there's probably a lot of people that like shifted their mid-century design aesthetic because they didn't want to be chuggy.
I'm bringing it back. I'm reclaiming chuggy.
Yeah, pro chuggy.
Because I love MCM.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now you know.
Now I know. My topic is funny because I am definitely not an expert at all. Can I emphasize that more?
I mean, do you think I was an expert in teen slang?
More than I'm an expert in this.
Okay.
But it's more in my Venn diagram at the moment.
All right.
Which is weightlifting.
Oh, yes. I don't know anything about that. Wait, what's our podcast called? I don't know what you're talking about.
I thought it'd be funny to bring up because I can just like there's things that I could talk about my current experience, but I am not an expert and I'm just like dipping my toe in and learning. But there's like fun things that I'm doing or learning that I thought it'd be fun to talk about.
I mean, I genuinely don't know what you're talking about because you're talking to a guy that like has never weightlifted. Like I've done exercise with weights, like 5 pound, 10 pound weights, but never like over 20 pounds.
Yeah. And we do a lot of fun exercise stuff together. Lots of fun classes and
Agreed.
Online stuff.
Speaking of the pandemic,
yeah,
you got me in the bar.
Back body project.
Yeah. I think it's funny that I had maybe never done a squat in my life until 2020. And now I've done like a billion. Not to brag.
Yeah, we did a lot of classes during like 2020, 2021.
I loved it. It was
Online
fun.
workout classes. Yeah. So I started taking a women's strength training class in, let me see, January.
I thought you were trying to think of the year. I was like, it was really recently here.
I'm only like 8 months in or something.
Only? Don't sell yourself short, Erin.
Okay. I am 8 months in.
Exactly.
But the teacher's whole, like the teacher that teaches this class, she was like, my goal is that any of you will be able to walk into a gym, know how to use every machine, not be intimidated by gym bros, which I just like that term because it's such a specific type of person that it describes so perfectly.
No, 100%. It's like, it's a subculture.
Yeah. And it's true that like feeling intimidated walking into a gym and literally not understanding all of the machines, and there's all these gym bros that, I mean, I feel like that's very real, that is a barrier to using gyms. And
and I'm sure there's like an etiquette and a
women.
culture and
etiquette, for example, you need to re-rack your weights.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. So if you set up a machine with your weights that you put on it, you need to put them back at the end.
What is back? Do you go back to 0 or like?
Yes. Okay. So for a lot of machines, there's like those pegs that go into holes on a stack of weights.
Right. Pegs and holes. Got it.
That's not what I'm talking about. Like, you don't need to like move the peg out of whatever. Like those, you just move the peg where you want it when you're using that machine. You're not moving weights around.
So that one you don't need to re-rack no matter where you were.
Yeah, because there's nothing to move. There's
just re-rack the right term.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna bring like beer pong terms into it.
Yeah, but like there's machines where you have loose, like weights that you're adding your weight onto it.
Those are like the circular disc weights for like
exactly, like the leg press machine, for example. You go and you sit in this like angled, I think it's like 45-degree machine, and before you sit in it, you put your weights on either side. Like let's say you put 35 pounds on each side, and then you do your leg presses, and then you're gonna take your weights off. So the next person that comes, maybe they only want 15 pounds on each side. They're not having to like move your 35-pound weights and then put their weights on.
So that's where you go back to 0.
Yeah.
But a machine with the peg holes, you just like leave it pegged wherever you had it.
Yeah. This has been like, so like I will have a day where I'm like so exhausted or stressed, and like the weightlifting or like strength training experience like totally replenishes me. So I've really been enjoying it. I feel like I can kind of like I like never go into it feeling like I don't want to do it, like unlike some other exercise.
Oh, because that's what I was going to say, is that I have that experience so much with, I don't know what type of exercise we call like bar or back body or.
I know it's like these combined workout classes that are like aerobic-y, Pilates, yoga mixes.
I went to physical therapy recently, and I was like, well, I do exercise. And they were like, oh, what kind of exercise do you do? And I was like, well, it's like on a mat, and we use weights, and we do.
I know. How do you describe it?
Yeah. I don't have the vocab for it.
There isn't. I mean, because it's not Pilates, it's not yoga, there's a lot of weight training connected to it.
Right. It's like strength training, aerobic, yoga.
And I've had that same experience. I think the strength training is interesting because it's like calm. Like favorite podcast right now comes out on Tuesdays, and like the idea of like going there and just like lifting or whatever and listening to my podcasts.
Bro, do you even lift?
I do.
So you're calling it lifting now?
No, just this was the first time.
She's into the culture. But
I'm sure this sounds so obnoxious, but
no, just to go back a little bit, I know that feeling so well of not wanting to exercise at all. But then after you do it, being like, that was great. Why did I not want to exercise? It made me feel so much better. But you're saying that you are looking forward to it before the exercise.
Exactly. Like I want to do it. And I think it's I don't know what's different about it, but it's nice to have a class that I like need to go to, and it's like mellow enough or something, and like kind of like self-directed. And but yeah, I want to go. It's really good, I think, for my mental health. I feel really replenished and like calm afterwards, and like it reduces anxiety. But that's not really what I was going to talk about, is those pieces. I was mostly going to talk about the machines and some of the funny things I've learned. Like, so when I go in, there's like kind of a sequence of like certain machines or things that I use. And we talked about the leg press, which I just want to note that the leg press is the most terrifying thing to me ever.
Is that the 45-degree incline where it's like...
Yes.
Okay.
Because you are laying with this like platform that you put your feet on, and then you're using your like legs and your heels. You're pressing the weight away from your body, and then bringing your knees. Your legs are pressing. And you, there's like these two things on the side that you press away from you so that the weight can do that. And then when you're done, you straighten your legs, pull those parts of the machine up so that the weight is locked in, and then you can get off the machine.
Crush you.
But it feels like it's going to crush you the whole time. I'm like, what if I
well, especially if you're trying to go for like bigger, like trying to push yourself. Like, that's what I love about all the weightlifting gym culture, is that eventually you just have to have like spotters and stuff because you're doing like more dangerous things. And
whenever I'm doing leg presses, I'm like, I hope I don't like get distracted and crush myself with this weight. I mean, I'm only doing whatever, 35, 70 pounds. I don't think that like kills you, but maybe
70 depends on how the 70 pounds interacts with you.
Well, does a 70-pound platform
at a 45-degree angle? This is a math problem. This is a physics problem. How much friction is involved? Like,
I wondered this. Like, what happens if I move my legs right now?
What's the worst? Like, say you had 1,000 pounds on there, and like, how far can it go? Would it just...
Oh, that would like crush your legs if you weren't strong enough or something to...
Is it like a car being crushed? It literally can go all the way to the, like, your entire body would be...
assuming there's somewhere it stops when it gets close. Yeah. Anyways, I like that. I do like the rowing machines, which makes me think about college and the crew teams and all of the attractive lesbians that were on the crew team. I mean, that was just the college understanding that, like,
Erin went to
a women's college.
A women's college.
And it was like, if you're on the crew team, you're one of like...
So the crew team was all hotties?
Hotties,
or to use slang from kids, that they were all like baddies or sigmas or...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Also, I always remember that crew burned so many calories in crew that they would have to like... I don't know if they had to, but I remember the like argument was they had to come and eat so many calories in the cafeteria that they would just have like plates and plates and plates of food in front of them.
I have to eat these 12 waffles. I'm in crew.
Exactly.
That's why I'm so hot. I mean, that happened. I understand a little bit with like...
Oh, I think it's fully true. I guess I'm joking that it's not true, but it was just kind of funny that it's like...
I mean, I went salmon fishing in Alaska where you were doing physical work for 13 hours a day. And we
You have to eat a lot.
We would
Yep.
eat crazy meals before we went out on the boat and when we got back. And I still lost weight.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You have to eat a lot when you're strength training too to build that muscle. So I like the rowing machine, and I think about the crew team at my college whenever I'm using it. And there's cable machines, which a lot of those are like you could do many different moves and exercise with it because there's like cables with handles and weights, and then you can move the kind of contraption with the handles in different locations depending on what type of exercise you want to do. So you could be doing like things for your like triceps or deadlifts or whatever if you're like moving where the handles are on these different cables.
I'm having trouble picturing this machine that like
it's because
everything.
it's because I have no idea, so that's why I'm not explaining it well. But there are a few different machines that have cables connected to the weights, and it's those weights where you put the peg in and pick what you want.
So you don't have to re-rack.
Call back.
Learning.
Yeah. And there's handles, and you can adjust a part of the machine on different parts of the cable so that if you're wanting to do like an overhead, like you're working your triceps, or you can move like part of the machine down the cable and you could be doing like deadlifts with it. It's like there's many different exercises that you could do with it, and I think that's the purpose of them, is there's a lot of functionality to them.
Wow.
And they look different than the other machines you see where it's very clear, like, oh, I sit on that and I pull that, or
because the other machines have one function.
Yeah, the other machines are like, this is for your glutes, or this is for your quads, or whatever.
It's just making me think of like the Bowflex in the 90s where like you could do like 19 different workouts with it or something. Right?
Yeah. So the other thing I have learned about is so I've been doing like deadlifts with barbell.
Barbell?
With a barbell. And so, where you put the two weights on your bar. But I use a tech bar.
Oh, excuse me?
Which is
Does it have Bluetooth?
Short for a technique bar, which is something you use when you're early in like weightlifting because you're still learning the technique.
How's it different?
It's lighter.
Oh.
It's when you're still learning form, I think. So it's called a tech bar. It weighs, I think, like 25 pounds or something.
Is it the same shape as the regular bar? It just weighs less?
Yeah. There's nothing on it.
Wouldn't you just put less weight or no weight on like a...
No, because the actual bars are, what I think is the actual bars are very heavy.
Oh. Yeah, for that, like, a weightlifting bar is like 50 pounds on its own.
Yeah, like if I go get one of those, I'm like, oh, yeah, can't do that.
So
okay,
that makes sense.
But if I use the tech bar, over time, I started with 10 pounds on each side. I went to 15. Now I'm at 25 on each side. So that's 75 total. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, the math checks out.
Yeah. I'm not like anticipating I'm going to move to a normal bar. I like where maybe I will. I don't know.
Well, it almost seems like there's not a reason to move to the normal bar if you can just put whatever weight you want on the tech bar.
Exactly.
I bet a lot of our weightlifting fans are just screaming into their car stereos right now.
I know.
Like,
yeah, I apologize. I'm definitely not an expert on this. And this show isn't
that
about
could be the name of our show, is definitely not an expert on.
Well, that's not the point. It's like just things we're both experiencing.
That's true. Wait, you told me a little bit about your teacher, like loading up your bar for you.
Oh yeah. She thinks it's funny. Well, so she was like kind of proud that I was like, progressing on my weights with deadlifts. And so now I will be in the other part of the gym on a machine and she'll be loading up with slightly higher than I had done the week before. and prepping it for me. And then she's just funny because I've been trying to kind of stay at the same weight because it's hard. And she'll go up like 10 pounds on and have it all set up for me over there.
I like that.
But
It's a good teacher.
she's pushing me. Yeah.
That's what I do with my kids too.
Load them up with harder math.
Load them up. 10 more pounds of math.
There's also this funny machine that's called the butt blaster.
Excuse me?
Literally an 80s machine that's like turquoise and has like the font. Butt blaster is like very 80s. And the
Is it turquoise with pink writing? Like,
basically,
okay.
yes. And the mat that it's like you're on your knees and you hold on to 2 bars and then you put 1 foot at a time up on a platform behind you and you're straightening your leg behind you.
Kind of you're on all fours.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the mat that you're on is turquoise.
Nice.
It's like
I love this color scheme.
all 80s. And they like tuck it in the corner. Like it's a little bit embarrassing that they still have it.
You should just come in. Do you guys have a butt blaster? Want to blast my butt?
It's like hiding behind the AC.
Is that another machine?
No. The air
Oh, it's an air
conditioning.
conditioning.
Yeah.
Okay.
The AC unit thing. Yeah. Anyways, I think it's good for my mental health. I've been enjoying it a lot. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about.
No, I love hearing about it because, yeah, I rarely have been in a gym and I've really never done weight machines like that.
Also, now I have this like feeling that I want to like show like you or other people around a gym because I feel like I have a good sense of just like, explaining some of the basics that would make it easy to figure out any machine. Like that's what I feel like the teacher did well, is that I don't feel intimidated really by like any machine in the gym now. I'm like, oh, I could figure it out even if I hadn't seen that specific machine before. That I understand like the general mechanics and how it's set up and like how to maybe adjust a part of it. Also, I use this one machine all the time that I don't know the name of it.
Is it the butt blaster?
No, but it's a barbell on a track. And so I like put it like you put it like up on your shoulders.
I think I've seen this.
It's really nice because you can't like drop it or anything. And you can do like lunges or squats or whatever, and you have the weight on your shoulders, but it's going up and down on the track. And it's a nice like starting place before you get into. I mean, I don't plan to like progress on from any of these things, but supposedly it's a nice starting place before you move on.
I think you should progress.
That's all.
I'm just picturing you getting like so deep into it that you become like a bodybuilder and like no. That's great. I love that you're getting such a positive experience out of it. And like, yeah, anytime I force myself to work out, I always feel better afterwards. But I love that you're feeling good before as well.
Yeah, I think it's good for me. Now you know.
Yeah, now I know. Also, before our workouts in 2020, I used to do a lot of like yoga, like different types of yoga classes, and I always like love that. But it became like I have to be in a class to make myself do it. Like,
yeah, I agree. I always felt like that helped to motivate and feel like just like accountability or something.
Yeah, it's like if we had all that equipment in our garage right now, it'd be hard to make ourselves do it all the time. But I feel like when you go to a class, you're like, it's formal. You're going to like disappoint somebody if you're not there.
Even an online class.
I don't know. As a high school teacher that taught online for the better part of a year, like that students did not attend that well. Shocker.
Yeah.
All right, Erin. Well, now we know.
Now we know. It's not a good ending.
No, it's not. What should we go out on?
Good night. Go watch Presumed Innocent and Speed.
minimum speed, as it was called in its working title.
Yeah.
Well, this was fun. Good night, Erin.
Good night.
Have you ever transcended space and time?
Yes. No. Time, not space. No, I don't know what you're talking about.